Hey, you guys, welcome back. This is Richard Sachs. I'm your host on Lost Arts Radio Live, and this is the safe stream version. And those of you who have been watching for a while, you know the routine that we're doing. We had to start a separate version a half hour before the real live show because we tend to have subjects and guests, excuse me, and things that we talk about that really are forbidden. You know, if we want to be extremely good citizens for big tech and internet and not say anything that would possibly be offensive to anybody under any circumstances, anything that would show that we're, you know, not obeying the terms of service and things like that. So we're being really careful. And the reason that we're doing that is so that we can not lose contact with those of you who haven't figured out where else we can be found. And if you want to stay in touch with that, you can go to lostartsradio.com, and there are links there to all the different platforms that we're on. On this one, it's I was going to say screened and, you know, very carefully censored for your protection, but I like Tim Cook's phrase, it's not really censored, it's actually curated, which is what he did a incredible in-depth study, or else he just made it up, I'm not sure which. And he said that this is what people really want on the internet, is a curated array of things for them to look at, so they don't have to risk looking at anything that might upset them or could offend them or anything like that. And looking at what the show subject and title was going to be for today, I came up with a curated version, which is the idea of canceling your natural rights for your protection. And because it hasn't been taught in American or European or UK schools for a long time, the idea, or probably Australia, New Zealand, or anywhere else, the idea of natural rights, in case you're not sure, was referred to in the US Constitution with the founders who were starting the country. And they said everybody has all of their rights naturally, not from their government, not from an international body, not from the UN, not from the World Economic Forum or the WHO or anything like that. It has the natural rights from God. And so everybody's got them. And I would have said at birth, but there are some rights you have before you're born, because you have the right not to be murdered before you're ready to start breathing oxygen. And those are natural rights. They don't have to be established by somebody thinking of it and writing it down in a constitution or any kind of a, you know, policy paper for government. You just have them. And now, in our modern version of the whole thing, our authorities, who are doing nothing but trying to take care of us night and day, have realized that the best thing for us is really to cancel our natural rights so that nothing dangerous can possibly happen to us. And I know, and we have to be careful talking about this too, it's limited, but in the old days, if an evil government wanted to take over a somewhat free country, there would be two steps. First, they would have to remove individual freedom, and always in the name of the greater good of the whole population. And that's kind of what democracy is too. It's like, if the people go crazy and 51% of them vote for some horrible thing to be done to the minority, then it's done, because that's what democracy is. And that's why America was never founded as a democracy. And you hear the people who are trying to confuse things or mislead or deceive people saying our democracy, or else they really are uneducated in the real sense. America was not designed as a democracy. You know, democracy works really well when you have a super conscious population and they have as much care for each other as they do for themselves. then democracy sometimes can work. But it's much safer to have a constitutional republic, provided that the Constitution is written by wise people. If it's not, then having a constitutional republic is junk. I mean, if the Constitution could say, yes, all people of this race should be enslaved or killed, that's a constitutional republic, okay? It's still terrible. The only reason the American constitutional republic turned out a lot better than democracy and harder to infiltrate, although that was eventually done, is that it was written by people who valued and wanted to preserve individual freedom, not the good of the whole over the individual. So, and with the understanding that individual freedom only works if you've got a moral, conscious, awake population. As soon as that declines, as it is now, and you've got people that just want to take advantage of each other and do whatever crime they can get away with, or in the case of a lot of really evil corporations, whatever they can do, that what they make in profit is more than the penalty for being illegal they have to pay is, and they have no morals or ethics at all, then even a constitutional republic doesn't work, because it gets overrun and infiltrated, and that's what's happened here. So the American founders, not really able to foresee the depth of creativity of the bad guys trying to take over the country and the world, were at least realizing they didn't know, and that the government would be in danger of being infiltrated and turning into a tyranny. So they made this list of guaranteed rights. They called it the Bill of Rights, and it was in, when was it, 1791. And the reason they did it is they just wanted to make extra sure that some of the major rights would be affirmed, and they knew they couldn't write down all of them because your rights are unlimited. You know, that's one of the good things about how the Constitution is written, is that it doesn't say, here are the rights that you have. They were smarter than that, the founders, and they said anything that's not prohibited remains as the right of the people or to the states of the original Confederation, which is before the Constitution, before the Revolutionary War. You had the colonies in a loose confederation, and they didn't want any central dictator telling them what to do. And then later on they realized, and I think they were right, that there are some things that only a central government can do. So you have to take the chance and play with what they called a dangerous servant and a fearful master, like fire. They had to do it because, for example, if the country as a whole were attacked by an outside force, you'd have to have incredible coordination between the colonies. Plus, you would have to have a central protective entity that had the resources to have built ships and raised an army for protection and things like that. But they knew that if they made this wonderful constitutional republic and the people degenerated into zombies, which has happened pretty much up to now, then the republic wouldn't have a chance. So it comes down to a question of consciousness. And right now, it's gotten to the final, what's probably the final stage. The people who are taking it over think that we don't have any chance to get back normal consciousness, and that we're going to have the mentality of slaves and not only put up with our own extermination, but do it to ourselves. That's really what their theme is. And they're trying to do that now. So this thing, the Bill of Rights, was really important, not because it included all the rights, because it definitely did not, but it mentioned some of the main ones. And what I wanted to do on the show today was bring out examples of great people who are helping to preserve the acknowledgement of those rights publicly so that they don't go away. And one of those people focused on one of the rights in particular, one of the elements of the Bill of Rights, was this person I just found out about this week. And his name is Maj Toure, if I'm pronouncing it right, or Maj Toure. That's not his birth name, but it's a name that he took when he became a rapper, I think. And I'm sure he's a great rapper. I haven't heard his rap songs yet. But what he's doing in his project, he's got a group that I can't mention on this platform because it'll be considered evil. But the initials of his group are BGM. And you'll notice it's kind of like BLM, but not, the L is not an L, it's a G. And I recommend that you look him up, Maj Toure. He's on Facebook and YouTube still for various reasons. But I think that he's an inspiring example of the positive application of the Bill of Rights from a conscious population using the freedom to do good, not to fight or, attack people or commit crimes or anything like that. But freedom, if it's used responsibly, leads to all kinds of really good results. And there are ways to apply all of the different natural rights from a positive perspective, which is similar to what Maj Toure is doing with one of them. And I can tell you which one of the Bill of Rights it is. It's not the first one, and it's not any of the ones numbered 3 through 10. And there are 10 total, so that should give you a pretty good clue to figure out which one he's talking about and why I can't give it any airtime on this platform, but I can on the show that we're going to have in 15 minutes. So if you're able to go to lostartsradio.com and find the links to the live show, we'll be on Lost Arts Radio Live talking about this inspiring person. He's not a guest yet, but what I'm hoping is I've invited him. And this is a standing invitation to Maj also to please come on the show. Get in touch with us, lostartsradio.com. We have contact forms there. So the stage we're at right now with the natural rights in the U.S. and most of the world is that big tech and social media and corporations and government agencies, they've decided they need to protect us from our own freedom. So they're teaching us the new real understanding, an example of why each amendment needs a modern interpretation and to be changed. Kind of like science, which used to be a really wonderful way of finding knowledge and questioning everything. You never get a policy in science that's unquestionable. It's always, even if you believe something is absolutely right, you always question it, because what if you made a mistake? You want to find out. And if you find out you're wrong, that's great. There's no ego involved. You just find out how to move it closer to being correct. And science in our time has been changed so that it's just memorizing acceptable information. That's what it's become. And it's up to us to see if we want to leave it that way and see our country and the world destroyed. But according to the authorities now, freedom needs a new definition so that if we redefine freedom, we'll be ready to accept the Great Reset and everybody identifying freely with whatever insane image they want. And we posted an example of that because of the new freedom from our authorities to identify with whatever you want. We posted a great video on lostartsradio.com. I think it might have been yesterday, and it was a very brave kind of new age man named Norm Hiccup. It's amazing that was his name, Norm Hiccup, but he won a bicycle race that he's winning bicycle races all over the place, world-class bicycle races, because he decided that he was losing all these other races with his motorcycle, and it was really stressful for him, to lose all these races. I think there were 65 of them or something, and he always lost. And so he said, God is, I don't know if he said it came from God or just his inner self or what, but he said, I know what the problem was. This is not really a motorcycle. I identify myself as a bicyclist. And so this is my bicycle, and it should be allowed in all the bicycle races. And once he understood that deeper, really much more spiritual perspective, he got into the bicycle races and he won all of them, setting world records. It was a really happy ending. So what it's moving toward is, I would say, if you had to paraphrase the old Pledge Allegiance to the Flag, which of course has been retired because it mentions some things that are not acceptable and are racist, like God and, one nation. Nationalism is racist. We know that. And so what it's moving us toward is world peace, one world, indivisible, under the United Nations, with equality and fairness and identical experience for all, which is really the only fair way to do it. And after that, amen. Well, men is sexist, so amen and a women. Oh, except that's sexist too. So it's a women and a men. And, you can still kind of mention men if you don't do it prominently or first. And so the authorities now are moving us toward a new spiritual understanding of insanity as normal, and everybody should have an equal share in the insanity as a stakeholder, and then everything would be fair. And as soon as everyone has identical thoughts, then what we get is what has been wanted for thousands of years, and nationalism and war never got it. And it will be world peace through complete uniformity, something to really be excited about, except excitement would be unfair because you're the only one who has the excitement, not all the other people. So except for that part, it's really something to look forward to. And that is the version that I thought would be hopefully safe to share with you today. And the bad version, we're talking about this, not a guest yet, I hope he will be a guest soon, that originally I thought would be safe to share his ideas with you. That one is relegated to a link below this video, and nobody who wants to stay calm and happy and uniform should look at that link. Only the people that haven't gotten over this desire for independence and freedom and rights, natural rights and things like that. The rest of you should ignore it and not go to lostartsradio.com to find out where the full real show is being broadcast, because we're trying to eliminate all these evil things that we're doing. It's just taking time because we're in this habit of trying to do things, like in the old days, they used to have this thing called telling the truth, and we're trying to get over that. It's just really hard. So thanks for your patience, and hope you understand what we're attempting to do here. Really appreciate your support. Hope you're having a good weekend wherever you are in the world. And remember the things I told you never to look at, just to keep calm and safe and uniform. And we'll look forward to meeting you here again next time. Okay, have a good week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.